they weren't turned on yet. That's maybe a good thing, so I already dropped an F-bomb, so it works out.
Just close enough? I gotta lean into it.
Probably get a little closer. Welcome back, everybody. Turn Left Podcast. Sorry I'm late. I'll explain later when somebody's on the frying pan. I got a special guest for you tonight. Like I said, welcome back to the Turn Left Podcast. I'm your host, Ethan Ayers. Special guest, wheelman, also crew chief, really just racing prodigy, Chris Hopkins. Thanks for joining us, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And he's not the reason why we're late. He's been here for plenty of time. Thanks for joining us. I want to, I know you from most of your late model career and probably your later career, but take us through the timeline a little bit. You said that you started off in Grand Stocks, or Chargers was what it was at the time.
Yeah, back before the Grand Stocks now were the Chargers then when I started.
Yeah.
Mike Hall had an old car that he was trying to get running. I was helping him out with that a little bit when I was working at Stock Car Products at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting my feet wet, and he ended up telling me he wanted to build a new car over the winter. So I told him, I said, well, I'll help you build a new car. So I did, and in return, he was nice enough to let me fix the old car up and start racing, and that's how I got my start into actually driving. But yeah, that started out the mint green car number 45.
Mint green. Whose choice was that?
That was the color of the car that he had before I even got affiliated with him. But yeah, he put me in it, and actually I run a few races in it because just me starting out I knew I was going to tear some stuff up. Didn't want to didn't want to beautify it too much.
We've all been there, yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't know, about 5 races into it, I decided, okay, we need to put some new sheet metal on it. So we put a new body on it, got it all painted up, and I went out there.
Sit down.
In the first 5 laps of the race, I tore the whole right side off. Irvin Bell, I'm not sure if y'all remember Irvin Bell.
I recognize the name.
Yeah, he was running that class at the time, and just rookie mistake on my part. I come off the corner and didn't even realize he was on the outside of me, and I got into him, and I looked up in the rearview mirror, and I seen him up on the wall climbing. I think he rode the wall halfway down the backstretch, and when I come back around, his right rear axle was going around in circles in the dirt.
Oh no!
And after the race, I knew I was in trouble. I just okay. He said, "Damn, Hopkins, you trying to kill me?" Yeah. I said, "No, man, it's my fault. I didn't check to see if you were there. Just rookie mistake on my part."
Yeah, man, it happens. We've all been there, like I said, tearing stuff up young and being at the wrong end of a wreck, being on the wrong side of it.
Yep.
That happens. Shout out, we got Tina backstage, and also Alex just walked in.
Howdy.
Late, but always great.
How you doing?
Alex. And more distracting than ever. He had to have a conversation backstage about what? What was that? What did y'all talk about? It had to have been important enough to, let's just hear it live.
I brought
got
him free
this
samples of new
special
beer that's
off-the-market
not even in the
alcohol.
market
You all
yet.
had to talk about that?
We had to. Sorry.
Did you? I didn't say anything.
I know,
I
I'm not
did.
blaming you. I'm just like...
I was on the phone with Harefield on the way here, and he said to tell you what's up.
Hey,
What's up, Harefield?
Chris Harefield?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said you're his BFF.
Hell yeah.
Y'all built a car together way back in the day.
Absolutely.
You built how many cars?
Oh, I
Hundreds?
hadn't even kept count.
Jeez.
So that first Grand Stock way back, he said that was the one that y'all built together.
Yeah.
Way back when.
Yep.
What year was
I
that?
think you asking me for years, man.
1922.
That's one thing I wish I'd have kept up with more. All the years I've been in it, I didn't keep up with years and statistics. I just did what I wanted to do and loved doing it, and if it was there at the end, it was there.
Well, did you keep up with, I do have a list of the numbers I saw that you have ran. We were talking about this before. You've been 43, 55, 88, 17, 98, 42, 02, 99, 07, and plenty more. 91 was one of them, 92.
91, I drove that car for Steve Billmeyer out of Raleigh, North Carolina. He had called me one day up there at Stock Car and asked me if I knew anybody that would be interested in driving for him. Like I explained to you earlier, he brought the car, called me on the phone and said, "Hey, I want to bring a car there, put a front clip on it, put a new body on it." And I said, "Okay, sure." And I'd never met the man before, I know my dad had told me that his father, Jack Billmeyer, they run at South Boston, Orange County a lot, and so he knew who he was, but I didn't. So when he came in, he introduced himself, and when he rolled the car in, it was funny because at the time I didn't know who he was, but when the A-pillar, the windshield posts, where they put the names, it had Jimmy Johnson on it. And I'm like, who the heck's Jimmy Johnson? You know, and like I said earlier, I found out who Jimmy Johnson was when he was at Watkins Glen and hit that safer barrier or that catch
real
his
hard.
head on.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, that's Jimmy Johnson, you know. But to end up, he asked me if I knew anybody who would be interested in racing. I said, you know, I would, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And before he could ask me how much I wanted pay wise, and I, you know, back then I didn't want no money. I just wanted opportunity, and that's how I got started in late model. We started at Southampton. We brought the car to Southside one night. Run fairly decent. I think I was running 5th, 6th.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, what, if you don't mind me interrupting, what made a guy go from willing to pay somebody to willing to let somebody that hadn't been in a late model before drive the car?
It got to, you know,
free,
for me, he wanted to pay me, and I reiterated the fact, you know, hey, I'm just starting
was willing
out.
to anyway.
You know, if I can bring my labor to this, where it don't cost you as much if I tear something up. You know, you just buy the parts, I'll put it together, kind of knock that labor out of it. I just want the opportunity to get started.
Mm-hmm.
And he was fine with that, but once I got to where I was running good with him, I mean, we went 1 year, I think the second year I run for him, we ran 48 races in one season. I was running Southampton on Friday
Shout out
night,
Jimmy Johnson.
Kinley on Saturday night. Then we hit the big races. We went to Martinsville. We went to Myrtle Beach. We went to the Oktoberfest at Southampton. We didn't have too much luck in Martinsville making the big race. We run good in practice, but unfortunately when it comes to qualifying, I drew number 7 to qualify, which is never good. You know, the first one to go out qualifies, and you know, I went down the corner and qualifying the first lap, and it just wouldn't turn at either end of the racetrack, and I knew I was in trouble then. So we got in a heat race, and I think I was in the transfer spot or right next to the transfer spot, and Tony Grady and Steve Emil's boy Shane got to bouncing off each other going in the front stretch, and they were running first and second. All they had to do was, you know, hey, let's just follow in line, you know, and we all make the show. But I think Tony Grady's right front fender flew off, and I run over it and cut the tire down. So I ended up, it was heartbreaking because I was so close, but it was so far away, you know. But we went to Southampton for the Oktoberfest. I qualified 6th. They took the top 10 on speed, where you didn't have to run any heat races. I qualified 6th.
That's pretty good.
Fell back. I think I fell back to 23rd on the start of the race because
that happens too.
Well, Bill Meyer liked to start the tires out real low on air pressure, and it would take the car. And he did it at Kinley a lot. And I always told him, even if you go half of that, it wouldn't take me so long to get back up to where I should have been to move forward from that point, you know. But he never would do it, and it cost me a couple races at Southern National.
Yeah, it's like, let me keep the lead, and then I'll hang on to the white knuckle right after.
Yeah, and I ended up getting back up to 7th or 8th. Was running behind Bubba Irvin at the time. 2 cars got together in front of Bubba Irvin. He jacked the brake, and I think we had like 10 or 15 laps to go in a 200-lap race, I believe it was. And I got in the back of Bubba Irvin because they all checked up right in front of me, and I popped a hole in the radiator. So I had 15 to go. I had to park it. You know, I didn't want to blow the man's motor up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the last thing you ever want to do.
No.
Especially in one of those cars.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we briefly touched on how many numbers you've been in. I think it's pretty much all the 2-digit numbers, minus a few. But how many tracks have you raced at? I mean, you've already mentioned Martinsville, Kinley, South Boston, Southern National. Well, that is Kinley.
Southside, Southern National, Southampton, Myrtle Beach. Went to. He wanted to go to St. Augustine, Florida, but I told him I wasn't going to St. Augustine, Florida. But we ended up going to Coastal Plains,
Oh yeah.
Raceway in North Carolina when they first opened up. I remember we showed up at that. This was the first race they ever had for a late model stock car there. We rolled around and checked the ride height, and they had a 4x4 cut, I guess, to 4 inches, and that's how they checked your ride height. I mean, they had NASCAR officials there. It was NASCAR sanctioned.
What year was this?
That had to have been back in,
I'm asking you years again now.
I want to say 1999, 2000.
Okay.
Somewhere around in there. But the track was smooth. I loved the racetrack. It was fast, but it was we run Goodyear tires there, and it was real abrasive on the tires. So when I walked the track, it didn't have that asphalt look. It had more sand in it. You know, it almost looked like sandpaper laying down. So I knew, all right, this is going to be hard on tires. It's going to have a lot of grip, but it's going to be hard on the tires. And sure enough, I think we qualified in the top 10, and we got to running. It was twin hundreds. I barely made it to lap 100 because it picked up a vibration about lap 70, 73, if I remember right. I come on the radio to Bill Meyer. I say, hey, we're getting ready to blow a tire. I don't know which one it is, but we're getting ready to blow a tire. And as bad as it's vibrating, I'm thinking it's the right front because the car is just a little snug. It was nothing that was real bad. You just had to put just a little bit extra wheel into it in the center to get it to come off.
Yeah.
And when I come in, I mean, the dashboard was jumping up and down on lap 1. When we come across the start-finish line, the dashboard was jumping up and down in the car. That's how bad it was. And when we come around and check the right front tire, half of the tread was completely missing. I mean, you could see the cords.
Tire,
you could see the cords. It was just the track was so abrasive, and so we were able to put 2 tires on at halfway. So I told him just free the car up a little bit, and he did. He freed it up, and the car was good. I mean, I don't remember who won it, but I know Sean Beluso was running third right there on the last lap, and I picked up a vibration with 10 to go. I said, I think it's the rear tire this time because it was just a little free off. So I'm thinking what happened with the right front, I automatically knew that was the right rear was going. Well, I passed Sean Beluso on the last lap, the last corner.
Dang.
I went into 3, and he was real loose getting in, and I was good getting in, but he was kind of holding me up, and I didn't want to just go in there and knock him around,
Yeah, and bully him out of it.
But when I got to the center of the corner, I kind of just reared him up out the groove a little bit and drove by him, and just praying the right rear would make it to the start-finish line.
Yeah, or he didn't cut down on it or something.
Yeah, and sure enough, when I got out, we looked at the tires, and the right rear tire had started doing the same thing the right front was doing,
wow.
but just not as bad. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I was going to say something about that earlier when you said that you drove into Martinsville and it wouldn't turn at all. You knew it'd be a bad day. There's nothing worse than a pushy race car.
I'm telling you.
That's true
You
for
gotta
every
wait on it.
division. Yeah, I mean,
you
it's
got to
just-
wait on it.
Yeah, which costs you everything, and
That's
it's just so frustrating as a driver because
Yep.
you can't. The outside does not work in a pushy race car.
Mm-mm.
Never going to work.
It's tough.
All right. Well, that was going to be. So what would you say is your favorite track then? You just listed all the different tracks you've raced at. I know that you said that was one of your favorites because it was so fast and so smooth. But would you say that that's your favorite track to race at?
Well, I'd have to say my favorite track would be Southside, just because that's where I got my start.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to see the place close, but I had a lot of fun at Southern National. I mean, you could really, when you had the car sprung right, you put a little bit of wheel into it to get it in the corner, and when it hit that banking, it automatically turned the car. And when it got pointed in the right direction, you would just right back in the gas. Didn't have to use a lot of brake pedal there, and even though the asphalt had a little bit of age on it,
Yeah.
you could really do some hard racing on the outside. So if a car got by you, on the inside,
You could race them back.
you could stay on that outside and basically
Pressure
pull
'em
back
back.
out. I mean, you had the momentum up top,
If you could
brake
pinch 'em
pedal,
down.
it won't no brake pedal.
Yeah.
You just sailed off in there and right back in the gas, and you pulled on the straightaway. You just pull right on back ahead of them.
Yeah.
I love that kind of racing.
Or arc your corner to where when you're coming out of the corner, they only have,
Oh,
even if
yeah.
they hit you, it's just going to knock you up the track a little bit. It's not going to take you out. Don't try to pinch them on the entry, but
Yep.
pinch them on the exit.
Yep. I had a lot of fun. Had a lot of good runs there. I almost won a couple. I had I think Doug Godsey was on the pole, right side pole. I broke an axle.
Damn,
Had
man,
to
where's the
park
good
it.
luck? All
Ah,
these
man,
bad
I'll tell
luck
you, if I
stories.
didn't have-
What's going on here, dude?
I'm telling you.
Are they coming? Later on the podcast, we're going to get to the good nights that he had, huh?
You can drive a U-car, dude.
Oh,
Yeah, dude.
man.
Alex
I
said you
think
could
that's
drive
the
a
only
U-car.
thing I haven't
Do
driven.
you want to?
No.
Dude,
You
you could do it. Alex, I
spot for you,
don't know
dude.
if you watched. You said you saw the Chris Hopkins episode. Alex's favorite race car driver, or late model driver, I should say, he picked as you.
That's why I'm
Oh,
here.
thank you. I appreciate that.
And I haven't been a guest
Years.
on here yet, so I haven't made a pick, but it's probably going to be
Yeah.
you.
A lot of
Met some
fangirls in
people
the house
that,
tonight.
Aunt and uncle, actually the dad and uncle, the Hughes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Her name is Dee Dee or Dee. I can't remember her name. I met her tonight.
Oh,
She-
okay.
She knew you.
Oh,
She's
that's
like,
good.
I was like, oh, well, he's gonna be on the podcast now.
He's
Yeah,
trying to
they-
avoid, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I used to make corn dogs in turn 4 pits and watch you race. It was
Oh,
awesome.
10-volt.
Loved it, yeah.
That's good.
And that was back
I
when
mean,
you were in the 43, I guess, right?
He was probably in the.
Well, you've been in a
43
bunch of
then.
stuff. Who knows? So
Yeah.
I got a list here. We could. He
Chris
goes
has been in a
go
lot of
to
cars.
do it again.
Yeah. Sure.
You never added any, I don't think. I listed all those. I ended
Okay.
it.
Oh, and I've been to Concord Motor Speedway too.
Ooh.
Oh, really?
Concord
That's
Motorsport
How was
Park.
that?
That place is fast.
Really?
I think out of everywhere I've been, Concord was the fastest place I've ever been. You go, it's shaped like a triangle,
Yeah.
and you go down the front stretch. You go off into one, you're right back in the gas, and you let it drift up to the wall. Then you come through the tri-oval.
Was the dog legs in the front or the back?
It's on the back.
Ooh,
Okay.
like poker.
So the front stretch is completely straight. You go
Phoenix.
off into one,
Ish.
then you go up the
Hammer
banking.
down.
Oh yeah, from turn 2 all the way, and you go.
Full send.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're full. I mean, you're wide open coming through that tri-oval there, all the way down that backstretch. And when you're going in the backstretch, you in the gas,
The whole time.
and you're looking at the wall turn. I mean, you're
Yeah.
looking at the wall.
Just as you're
And-
coming at it.
Yeah,
You're bending with it, kind of.
and it's
But full speed.
Yeah, it's funny that I'm glad I mentioned Concord. I'd almost forgotten about it, but we were there testing. They had a 3-day event there, sort of like Martinsville, but not as big. The purse one was big, and we were pretty fast there. And I told him when I come through the tri-oval, the tail end of the car want to get a little twitchy, so I told him, I said, look, either we need to take a little bit of spring out or add a little bit more bar to it, just enough where it's more comfortable coming through there, because it's on the ragged edge of being too free coming through there, and it's kind of messing that momentum I want to keep going in that backstretch.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, so he decided to put bar in it. Well, I'm sitting in the car and practice is going on, and I'm watching the cars come down. I'm trying to look at the scoreboard, trying to keep up with times, and I'm not sure who hit the wall, but I mean it sounded like a bomb going off. I mean it was bad. Well, they ended up bringing that car in the infield. They had to cut the front clip and all the front suspension off from around the motor to get the motor out of it to get everything in the trailer.
Oh, my gosh.
And they took that guy out in the ambulance.
Oh.
And
Okay.
and the whole time they're thrashing, trying to get the
Somebody
get the
lost
bar
a
back
leg on
together.
here a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago. So
Yeah.
Kyle Wood was on here. He's like, "Yeah, somebody lost a leg, so we had to stop going to that track." And he was totally serious. So
Yeah.
is this guy okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
He might have been.
I think
limbs
he
still
was all right. I
attached?
think the next day I heard talk that he was okay, but
Okay.
then that canceled the practice. So we went back to the motel, and Steve said, "What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a set of sticker tires on it. We'll tape it up. We're going to make a mock run first thing right at the gate." And he said, "I'll finish hooking the bar up, and we'll go out there and see where we're at." I said, "Okay, sounds good." Well, when they were putting the finish hooking the bar up, I'm sitting in the car waiting to go out, and the first practice they give you a certain amount of time, and it was getting close to the end because
Yeah.
we wanted to kind of get everybody out there and get them off the track before I went out on stickers. And when I went to go out, my brother was shaking his head. I didn't think at the time what he was shaking his head at. When I went out there, I went down, come on back around. When I come down past the flag stand, I was full throttle, going into one. And when I went into one, that thing unloaded like it was on a sheet of ice. Damn. And I hit driver's side against the wall, and it's probably about the hardest hit I've ever had in a late model. And I limped that thing back around to the trailer. It had flattened the whole left side. The dashboard was hanging about a foot out the right side door. I went to pull my helmet off, and I had paint from the wall inside my helmet.
Oh my God!
It took about the time that I got out the car and walked into the trailer. I was already stiffening up.
Really? That's not good.
And what had happened was when Steve was putting the panel bar back together, he got off on the heim joint length, and there wasn't enough heim on the left side to hold the two links together. And when I went in, just the force of the sticker tires or the force of the car alone traveling, it just pulled the heim joint apart. And I let go of the wheel to try to catch it, and it just wasn't enough.
That's something I asked Chris Dotson. Does any of it ever scare you as far as when you go to some of these bigger tracks and you're into wrecks where you got parts of the wall ended up inside your helmet? I've never done late model or anything super duper fast, so I don't think. I still it crosses my mind. Let's try not to. This getting up and getting down. Let's not do that again.
Yeah,
just stay there next time.
You definitely think about it, but as a racer,
you have to.
You think about it during the week, but you got your mindset on
everything else. Like
everything
I said, you
else.
Have to forget about it. Kinda.
Exactly. But when I get in that car or get in whatever I'm driving, as soon as I start that thing, all that's out the window.
Yeah.
There's times I've been having to go to the bathroom at Southampton or Kinley on the starting grid, and as soon as I start that car, it goes away.
Yeah.
That wasn't you.
Ethan's ritual is to go to the bathroom before he goes every
right away.
He goes. Yeah, he's never
like
not.
Never not. Yeah.
Did you have the 99 car on there?
That was Dad. Yeah. That was his car.
I got it on there.
Yeah,
it was one of them, but trust me, you listed off plenty before the show started. You started going through them, and I was like, "Damn, those aren't on my list."
And I also took the 99 car to the old Manassas.
Old man.
Yeah, old.
I raced that track a few times. Right before it.
That's crazy.
That track was rough as hell.
Yeah, when I showed up there, it had been a long time since I'd been up there. I went up there. I think Tony Cully was running a modified up there.
Rocket ship.
I can't remember who I went up there to help.
Sorry.
Y'all don't know we actually are on a
when
track
I walked
right
up, when I walked
my
up to the
neighbor's
gate,
the most distracting thing.
when I walked up to the gate to go across the track, it was two weed eaters going, and I looked, and they're in the middle of the racetrack, and the asphalt had separated so far. The grass was,
coming up through.
Grass was growing up through there pretty good. They were in the middle of the racetrack, weed eating the grass out the cracks. And then when I got the opportunity to run, it felt like a washboard to me.
Yeah.
But
still,
I just, for some reason, that track didn't really, I didn't run good there, and I didn't like the way it was laid out. It just wasn't my favorite. I'd rather go back to Kinley or somewhere like that.
Were you talking about? I was say Orange Cone said ask if he's running the Rock. He also said that we also, by the way, we're going to put on the 88 car in a little bit. I wanted to do a slideshow, but it didn't work out.
That was a fun night.
But
Love that.
yeah, how many wins did you end up getting in the 88 late model, the most recent late model you've driven? You ended up with 3 or 4 wins in that car, right?
I think it was 4. I think it was 4. I think it was 4 wins.
How'd you land your position in that seat?
Well, I was running the modified. I committed to the whole season.
You won the championship in that, yeah.
Yeah.
That was another reason that matches my studio a little bit better, the yellow.
The yellow, yeah.
And
It's all about the aesthetic.
you won the championship in that car, so I figured we'd pay a little bit more homage to Alan right now. But I want to put the 88 up there because I've got a badass picture of that.
Alan and Candace had asked me if I wanted. He said, "Man, I'm getting too old to do this mess. I don't know if I can even fit in the thing. You want to drive it? Hey, man, you want to drive it?" I said, "Yeah, And I really appreciate them giving me the opportunity to do that, because at that point in my life, I was going through some ups and downs in my personal life.
Yeah.
And getting in that, I think, kept my mind straight where I need to be. and
Gave you something stable.
Yep, and how the '88
I
car
think
came
you won
along.
like 13 out of 12 races, so that was something consistent to go back to every week.
I think I won 6 or 7 of those.
Yeah, it was
I think
impressive.
You won 14
nonetheless.
out of 12 that year.
That's my joke. I just said that.
Yeah, accurate.
It was so good.
But I mean, so I had this going on, and Steve literally come down to me during, I think, one of the practices and asked me, "Hey, do you mind coming down and hopping in my car and see what you think?"
Mm-hmm.
And I know Daniel was in there, and I said, "Look, I don't want to get in the middle of no family stuff. As long as he's okay with it,
Yeah.
I don't mind doing my part, coming in and help tell you what I think, So he said, no, he's good with it. So I did. I went down there, and the car wasn't all that bad.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, you won with it.
they had a little. Well, no, this is the first practice.
First time you ever tried it.
First-
But not only that, but anybody would be crazy not to want you to, because like I said, you're like a racing prodigy. You're a crew chief, also a wheelman.
Yeah,
You can do every side of it. So that's why Alex wanted you to drive his U car. We're trying to get that tuned up a little bit. But that might not happen.
Well,
That might not happen, but like I said, it
That
would
was
have been
one.
crazy for them not to have wanted that. So obviously you got in it, and now you can look at it from. Normally it's the driver trying to communicate it to the crew chief, and it's never perfect. But when you have a driver that is also a crew chief that can drive, then you take one step out of it. So like I said, I mean, obviously I'm sure you. Or just keep on going. Sorry, I interrupted you.
You all right. But I got in it, and Hoyt overball. He was helping him. I got in it, and I run around there. I don't know how many laps I run, but I was talking the whole time I was running. I was telling them what the car was doing, the entry, center, and exit at both ends of the racetrack. And I don't know if that kind of progressed their situation.
That relationship, and then just
Yeah.
how much the car progressed, it made your
Right.
case a little bit easier.
But not to take anything away from Daniel. I mean, Daniel was
He ran good.
pretty good
He-
driver. He run
He was
good
like a
in
rookie
it.
in
Yeah,
late Model 2.
yeah, he run good in
He
it.
ran a season and a half.
It just so happened, and I felt bad, when he got out of it. I like to go to the racetrack and win.
Well, somebody has to drive it, Chris.
Well, I know that, but
It could also be me if anybody was calling.
sometimes as a driver, when you get out of something, and then somebody else gets in it and they run better, people want to poke the fork at you, and
Shit, I did it week on and week off with Chapman. You think that was an easy pill to swallow?
and that's not something that I wanted to do. I wanted to win, yeah, but I didn't think I was going to go out there the first night in it and win with it.
That was tight,
and
dude.
matter of fact,
Yeah.
As my
During-
buddy TJ would say, that was
It was
tight.
matter of fact,
That was a fun
fact,
night, man. That was fun to watch. I was like, dude.
matter of fact,
Chris Dodson talked about. Well, I think he talked
He
about
did.
one of
He
your
did
wins.
talk
It might have
about
been
that.
that win, but
I don't know, like,
you
half
won a
attack
couple
it.
times that year, and he was in most of those
Yeah.
races. So I mean,
yeah. Well, I think we had won. I think 4 nights with the modified and the late model in the same night. I know 2 of them were consecutive. I'm not sure about all of them, but anyway, I mean, Steve, we had motor trouble. I think 1 week with it, and I wasn't able to drive it. And Steve took the motor back. They rebuilt the motor, put it back in the car the same week. Come back, we run with it. Rick Duncan built a strong motor in that car. Randall built the motor in the modified, and it was. I mean, that was a rocket.
yeah. I mean, they were
you
both
know.
fast.
I couldn't complain about the motor situation in either
There's
one
Steve
of those.
right there.
Yep, Steve.
And there's even
You got
if you move that
Rustin.
trophy, there's Alex Brock sitting in the back, posted up like he's
Yeah.
about to fight somebody.
Yeah.
Or something.
Alex
I don't know,
Ayers
is
was
he?
behind all that watching.
We're in the back gravel
Yeah,
pits.
we were. Yeah, we were in the
We're-
gravel
we're-
pits.
like I said earlier, where we
No,
belong.
seriously, I was that night, dude. I was actually sitting in turn 2. And I love that night. That was fun.
But I think
That was awesome.
I didn't really.
That was a big race too. It was like 100, 125 or
I'm not sure.
I like how
like
the
for Southside. It was 100,
exhaust hole
100.
comes out of the 8.
Yeah, that was tight, dude.
I've always liked
that.
that.
I didn't have anything to do with it.
I know, but it's cool.
He just hopped in that bitch.
I wasn't even giving you credit. I was like, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Actually, I mean,
It looks like 98 on that.
that car right
Technically,
there.
yeah, but
That
clean.
car right there was the first car I had ever just shown up to the racetrack and sat in a seat and drove and give input on what I thought it needed. And what I thought it needed from what I felt in the seat, Hoyt would take all the numbers off the car as far as temperatures, travels, and he would take it back home, put it on a simulator. And I hadn't seen the simulator, what he's talking about, but he would call me and tell me, he said, and everything I complained about, the simulator was telling him the same thing that I was needing.
Awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
So it helped,
Yeah.
you know, and like I say,
The proof's in the pudding.
yeah, and show
For
up
the
the
simulator.
following week. I mean, the first week I drove it in practice, I'm like, man, I don't think where we need to be. But the car turned decent, accelerated decent. It didn't have the speed and I thought it needed to be. But we put tires on that thing, and next thing you know, I'm like, oh yeah, we're good, we're good.
Ready to rock now.
Yeah.
And we'll now that we're talking late models and stuff like that, let's go back farther. We're jumping all over the place. That's
That's
not
okay.
bad, but
Can't wait till you drive the U-Car next year, Chris. That's cool.
Oh,
yeah, dude. Yeah, we're jumping
He's
into
so
the future. Yeah, he's like full season.
When this is
at
over, you're
Dominion.
hopping in that seat.
Have you raced at Dominion yet?
No, I've
Not yet.
I've done a lot of testing up there.
You crew chief for Brock up there, right?
Yeah, we did
Yeah.
a lot of testing up there.
Couple
We would
poles
take
and-
we would
yeah,
take
a
both
win.
cars up there, and I'd drive the one he was going to drive, then he'd get in the one that I'd just gotten out of, just trying to get a good feel for what we needed there. They ended up building a new car from Jay Edgecock,
Mhm.
and I think that was a turning point up there because we were kind of struggling with the older car that we
The
had.
speed.
I mean, we were definitely gaining on.
Y'all got a couple poles with the old car though.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
started.
It was good.
We finally got that car where it would turn decent, and had a good motor program.
Yeah.
And over the winter, they bought a new car. We built a new car, and they were asking me what I thought they needed, and I said, it's a shame that it has to be this way, and the price of racing has really
Right.
gone to the extreme. When they
Yeah,
put
it
all
has.
these cars on the bump stops,
Yeah.
unless you get your own stuff, you're only gonna be but so good. So he finally broke down and bought a pull down rig, Jimmy did, and I was able to mess with that thing, endless hours.
Yeah.
And I go to the racetrack, and Brandon Butler helped also. We
Working
pulled
as
it
a
down
man.
with him, and he was a big help to help get numbers where we needed to be. But once we got that pull down with the new car, I had to basically, and we knew where we had to start, but we started with those numbers and then tweaked those numbers from that. And I mean, he qualified second, third. It took the program from
lots of
running. He
poles,
took the
yeah.
program from running fourth, fifth, and sixth to second, third, and third.
Every week, yeah.
And even, I mean,
Yeah, 'cause
He
he
had
does have
run-
a lot of second place
Yeah.
finishes up there too.
yeah, he had run a handful of races up there with Philip Morris and all them, and was actually leading
Yeah.
races. And I told him over the radio one night, I said, hey, the caution come out. I said, this race right here is yours.
Yeah.
Because you and Philip are running the exact same speed.
Mm-hmm.
And Alex was leading at the time. Well, the
Yeah.
caution came out, and like, man,
Now, comes down to a lot of factors.
it would me. It would get in my head that, hey,
Of course.
I got the national champion starting on the outside of me, But I told him, look, if you're not carrying the same, when you go back to green, you're not carrying the speed
You didn't bring a
that
little
first
cheat to
lap
this
as you are
situation.
your second complete, your next complete lap. So when you get down into one, drive that thing down in there. You can
Hard.
drive down in there extra car length, maybe a car length and a half deeper than what you had been, know. And I don't know what happened there, but when they took the green flag, just Philip, I guess,
Gone.
Philip got a
Could've
lot
researched
more
probably, too.
experience. He's been in a lot more situations, and I can't take anything away from Alex because he did a good job, but he just got beat.
Oh, dude, restarts in a U-car can be
Experience,
tricky.
yeah,
Not to mention
dude.
something that's trying to roast the back tires off of it
You're
the whole
way
time.
better than I am, Ethan. I beat you once on a U-Car restart.
Yeah, I mean,
Tell you
And
something.
I won
A lot of
the race,
people-
I won the race against him, and he's way better than I am.
I tell you
On
something.
restarts, yeah.
On restarts,
Sometimes.
it goes back to the
I've
Chargers.
had bad ones, too.
When I was running Chargers, I was
Yeah.
running with Tommy Tatum and
Yeah,
Laval Balduck and them. Well, I got to where I was running decent with the 2 car, which Reno Marchetti
Yeah.
owned
the
it.
Miller
They
Lite
had-
looking
they
jank.
added
Yeah.
the second car, yeah.
And I got up there running with Tommy, and he would give himself away on the restarts. You know, because
Yeah.
caution was he'd ride
Ethan did
around
it
with his
too.
arm,
You did that too.
arm up on the bar.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Ethan did it.
He'd ride around in the caution with his arm over the bar, and he'd do that with one to go. They'd give the one to go signal, and he would hold that arm up on that bar all the way down the backstretch. And it was single file starts then,
Yeah.
and you couldn't pass to the start finish line. Well, I knew when he was going to go. Because as soon as he got ready to
Put
go,
his
he'd
arm
take his
down.
arm off the bar. You know what I mean?
It's like
I'm like,
playing
yeah, we're getting
poker,
ready to
he's
go.
gotta
It
tell.
took me a couple times to figure it out, but once I said, yeah, I got him there. I
Yeah.
know when he's going to go.
It's like when
funny
your
you
crew
said
chief
that.
is watching
So
the green flag fly.
as soon as I seen
telling
that,
you, go,
as
go,
soon
go.
as I seen that hand move, I was already boom.
Yeah.
You know,
Hammer down.
yeah.
Locked
It's funny
and
you say that
loaded.
because there was a double. We did double file restarts in street stock the last year they were out, and Ethan and I would. Usually he was leading
Yeah.
always.
Gotta put my arm
But
on there, yeah.
no, he didn't do the arm thing, but he would always, if I was on the outside of him, the brotherly thing, he would
Mm-hmm.
that little head thing.
Mhm.
I knew as soon as it was
Look
the
in
head
the
thing,
mirrors.
and he would end up beating me anyway. But
Yeah.
it was I always knew, so I
Well,
would finish second. And
The late
so
models,
third, but,
the late
yeah.
models, you know, you got these full containment seats now. You don't
You don't see anything, yeah.
see.
Yeah.
All you see
I
is
would
the
always
top of
see
somebody's
it.
helmet.
He would
And that's
move
it.
his head, and I was like, "That's the move." Like we had to go.
Yeah,
That's right.
I guess the street stock guy that always had his hand on the thing was Jim Loving. Always, he'd drive around the whole race with just one arm. Just
He did the whole
yeah,
thing.
it's
Yeah,
crazy. But
you
all
beat
right,
me a lot. Ethan. That
to
was
the
weird.
to the 43. Let's talk about going back and forth. How did you end up? Because you drove the 43 late model a lot, but so did Eddie Johnson. Are you friends with Eddie? How does that work out? 'Cause I don't
Oh,
even know that
yeah.
relationship or
Yeah, me
who
and-
owned those cars. I think I know that, but just tell anybody that might not know.
Hughes,
Um,
right? Yeah.
Hughes.
I got people out in Australia now. Shout out Australia.
Hughes, Julian and Barbie Hughes, and Bobby Hughes, which was Julian's brother. They owned the cars.
Yeah.
It was, matter of fact, it started out with just one. It was a Chevrolet. C.J. Johnson drove it.
Yeah.
Joe Hall drove it. John Eversole drove it.
Right.
And then
wow.
They
they.
were Dodge for a while too, right? Like way
Well,
back
we
then.
built. I'll get to that. I'll get
Okay,
to
yeah,
that.
sorry.
I'll get to that.
There was a Dodge days. Dodge
I think when I started. I think when I started
remember.
driving that car, it was already 20 years old,
Really?
Yes.
but it was still running good, you know.
And you
And
were killing it.
he went. It put a body on it, and back then it was steel bodies. Now you got all the aluminum doors and fiberglass fenders and stuff. I mean, rubber fenders and. But yeah, it is.
It really is.
It really is.
Rubber
It
fenders.
flexes
It
like
is.
that. It really kind of is.
Um,
Yeah, it smokes and smells good.
Yeah,
You hit it.
and,
It's good.
but you know, we got to where we were running with it, and
You know what doesn't have that?
and that.
You
Car.
car?
What can you do with this year, Chris? It's gonna
To be
happen.
fair, Patrick Brewer says you could drive a shopping cart and win.
Oh,
There you
I
go.
man.
pushed him in food line with anyone.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
As long as I can see over the bar.
Orange.
Thank you,
I don't
thank
know
you.
who Orange Cone is, but Orange
That's
Cone wants.
Stevie.
That's Steve.
Okay,
Little.
That's
That's
Steve.
Steve.
What
Little.
up, Steve? I don't know who you are because your name says Orange Cone, but
Well,
he,
it's- he's got
that
reason.
person would like to know if you're
a safety
running
man.
the rock.
I already said that.
I must have run inside. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, my bad. Are you running the rock?
They asked me to. They asked me to, but it's a lot of it's got to go into that. You know, a
Yeah.
lot of safety. I know they did a tire test down there. Timothy Peters, which me and Timothy are good friends because, of course, with me and Brandon Butler and Charles and Ike and a lot of us, we run South Boston. And actually, one of the cars that Timothy Peters drove was Steve Billmeyer's after Jimmy. I think it's after Jimmy Johnson, and. So I mean, we've talked when we've been at the racetrack. I mean, I don't call them up on the phone and say, hey, you know, but I do know that they did a tire test at Rockingham, and from what I'm hearing, like 10 laps, 15 laps on it max. They're blistering tires, so they got to get tire situations figured out. But I mean, I'll drive anywhere anybody wants to go. It doesn't matter to me as long as I get okay from the wife.
It's most important.
The approval.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not
Smart
young as I
man.
used to be.
Smart
You're gonna
man.
fit in that thing tonight before you leave.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it looked fun. I mean,
Yeah.
anytime you can go around a circle and go fast, it's fun. You
You'll
know?
win
Yeah.
that bad boy.
What about
I'm not kidding.
What about so you
not at all.
I know I might be going back to it and maybe I missed something, but you and Eddie Johnson, y'all know each other. Y'all go back in the 43. How does that get decided? Like who's driving it? Like because it seems y'all it was like almost like not a season to season thing, but like y'all went back and forth quite a lot.
Well, I think we went.
It wasn't every
I
other
got
week,
out
but-
of it. I got out of it, and I had run with the Hughes. I think don't quote me on this, but maybe 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And out of those 3 or 4 seasons, I had an opportunity to win at least 2 track championships, and both times we had mechanical issues on the car, parts
Bad
falling
luck
off,
stories?
parts
Goddamn.
breaking, and not to take any away from the Hughes, because they were running on a shoestring budget,
Yeah.
but parts that were breaking were parts they would say, oh, that part's been on that car for 10
15
years.
years,
Yeah,
we're proud of it.
and it
It's
just
like,
just cost us a championship, but hindsight's 2020. You don't know what's going to break. You don't know when you're going to go to the racetrack and have a mechanical issue unless you just absolutely are not doing any routine maintenance.
Right.
I mean, the last race up there at Dominion with the boy I'm helping up there, Jason Barnes, we had a rear end brake.
Oh yeah.
He said, "What's up, crew chief?" earlier. in the
Oh,
chat.
Jason did.
yeah. All
Jason
right.
did.
We got a lot
Yep.
of people coming
It's-
in.
that's
Actually, you
Yukon,
got
dude.
you got
Yeah,
37
also-
people watching right now.
John
Hey,
Bryce
how
said
y'all
he
doing?
thought
Glad
that
y'all
was-
are
There's
watching.
a lot
Thank
of
you.
traffic, yeah.
Thank
In
you.
a
Chris
total,
Hopkins
like,
one night up there when he was taking time trials. It was cool.
well, and what about
Tiger
the?
one?
It was. I'm a Chris Hopkins fan, dude. Sorry.
Yes,
I'm like
The-
fangirling, dude.
the favorite racetrack. Did we ever decide on that? And next, we're
He
gonna
said
get to
Southside, but
yeah,
Southside and Kinley.
Yeah, you did
Southside and
that.
Kinley are my
bad.
favorites.
We're gonna get next into the. Who's your favorite NASCAR driver?
Oh, it was Dale Earnhardt
It was
before he
Ethan
passed
Ayers,
away.
What
But
about now?
now I'd have to go for Harvick. I like Harvick.
oh, he's
My
good.
brother,
He's good.
my brother that's helped me ever since I've been racing. He stuck by my side. Helped me with a lot of my success.
Sean, right?
Yeah,
84?
Sean.
84. Yeah.
Yep, he got into driving some, and he ended up
That's not
making
driving.
making the move.
Yeah.
Went to work for Richard Childress a few years ago. Had opportunity to go to Stewart Haas. He ended up going to Stewart Haas. He worked out, I think, three years.
Yeah.
Stewart Haas.
What a pretty car too. He always had this beautiful race car.
But I mean,
Yeah.
even when Harvick took over Earnhardt stuff, I just liked the way he carried himself. I liked I liked his driving style.
He still carries himself well.
Yep,
I'd
he
say.
does.
that first win afterwards, when he did the 3 at the
Yeah,
window, that was
that
like
was- that was sweet.
Atlanta, boom, like
Yep. And when like we go to the racetrack, we get practice. But the way this COVID stuff has gone, they show up at the racetrack, they prepare their cars the best way they can
Yep.
for the tracks they're going to with no practice to show up and just go green racing and to
Yeah.
win like they did
yeah,
You
that
know,
was, this year they just
with
yeah.
no practice. I mean, it pretty much says it all. It says a lot about the organization, says a lot
Yeah.
about Kevin Harvick as a driver.
Right.
Give
Yep.
feedback as quick as you can, and that stuff
During-
goes
I'm a
pretty
huge
quick.
Kyle Busch fan.
Yeah,
this
during-
year was weird for that. Yeah, that was like
It was not his
Yeah.
year. He's usually
Not
practiced
at all,
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
He won at Texas and it was like,
And it seems like he always does better when he's doing Xfinity and truck, which he does a lot. And when he's not doing that, it's almost like he doesn't learn the track. It's like he
Right.
needs a lot of laps
he needs
before
that
he picks it
practice,
back up
He needs
every
that
week.
learn. He needs that learnability. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
But what is your favorite win of all time? Because I asked somebody earlier
that's a toughie.
today. I had to get my facts straight. So we've talked about this. You essentially won the first Denny Hamlin Short Track Showdown, but it was the year before they started calling it the Denny Hamlin Short Track Showdown. But he was there.
It was a cystic fibrosis.
Yeah.
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 Charity.
That's what the Denny Hamlin Short Track Showdown is.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
what
that's what they actually called it. They didn't actually call it the Short Track Showdown the first
That was
year.
Is it?
Before-
That's some news to me. I had no idea
that was
that was.
before it was the
Yeah,
Kyle,
Denny
the
Hamlin's
Kyle
whole
Busch
thing.
won the
All
first
the Short Track Showdowns,
Denny's
all
Short
that
Track
was
Show,
donated
but you
to-
won.
Oh my
the
god, I
first,
never knew that.
That's why they
The
charge
first-
for
first,
alcohol
yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
on those nights.
That's wonderful.
Well, getting
Yeah, it was good.
back to the 43,
Right.
to answer the question, I'll
Yeah,
catch
my
all
bad.
of it. I'll catch all of it. But going back to Eddie Johnson,
I'll just give you the list.
I got
My
a.
bad. I'm just
This
he
is
did
about
better
your
on his
story,
own.
dude. You're about to get learned.
I mean, I like Eddie Johnson. We're friends. We
Yeah.
talk at the racetrack. There was nothing ever. There was no bad beef, I guess you want to say, between Eddie just swapping in and out to 43. It's just that the first round with the 43, I kind of got burnt out on the fact I didn't want to go over there and finish second. I told them if they wanted to go over there and finish second, that they had the wrong person.
You finished first a lot, though.
After
First
we
stage?
got everything straight.
in the first
you did
stage.
a lot of
Yes, that was the
Yeah.
first stage. And
I
then,
know, but did
then
you
when-
win a lot in the first stage?
We
Settle
won.
down here.
We
Hold
won.
on.
No, he did.
said-
We
He did.
won some.
Okay.
When it had a Camaro body on
Let
it.
him tell his timeline before you interrupt.
And then
Oh, that was a
then,
while ago, though.
then we
Yeah.
drove. I put a body on it, run to Monte
yeah, that's what
Carlo,
I'm saying. This is different. You've
Yeah.
driven it quite a few times.
Yep.
Different stages.
It had the Monte Carlo body on it. We won some races with the Monte Carlo body on it, and then I got out of it. Then they came back. They asked me to drive it again. That's when Dotson and Creech hooked up and built the Dodge.
Yep.
And I mean, I was going over there. Everybody was going over there getting their tails handed to us, you know. And they're like, "What can we do?" I said, if you want to run with them, this was exactly what I told them. If you want to run with them, you got to get like them.
Yeah.
And you got to at least have that opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
And
I was making corn dogs in turn 4 when you were doing that.
and they were like, "Man,
It was cool.
I don't think we can't afford to buy no Dodge, you know, can't afford to do that, you know, this is what we got." And I said, "I understand, you know, if that's what we got, that's what we got. I'll go over and do the best I can."
Yeah.
You know. And
What else can you do?
2 weeks later, I was over there working on the car, and Bobby, Julian's brother, shows up. He sits down in the chair, and I'm just working, and we're chatting, you know. And he said, "Hey, you want to play a game of pool?" I said, "Yeah, I'll go play a game," because they had a pool table in a little side room there.
Classic.
And we were playing pool. And he said, "How much you think that Dodge gonna cost?" I said, "Bobby, don't do this. Just
He was drinking.
Don't-
It's like, hey,
no,
I-
he-
honest with you.
He won't drinking.
I was just
Matter of fact,
messing
he
with
had
you.
just gotten off work, you know,
Okay.
and he said, I said, don't
I'm drinking at work.
put yourself in debt.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Some people do
Yeah.
that.
Don't put yourself in
Sorry,
debt
whoever.
for me to race, you know. And he said, no, I've been thinking about it a lot what you said. If we're going to be in this, we want to be the best we can be. I said, well, all I can tell you is I can call Rick Townsend. That's who
Good
I
man.
want to get a call from. And he said, okay, go ahead and call him and get a price. So they were calling. I think we were dealing with Charles Morris at Performance.
And you're just getting a quote at this time. He hasn't given you a blank check yet.
No, he just getting a quote on everything. We were dealing with Charles Morris up in Farmville on the motors, Performance Counts Motors. He said, call Charles and get a price on the motor. I said, okay. I said, y'all sure y'all want to do this? He said, yeah, absolutely.
Where did this guy work?
You
He
drove
worked
it.
it. He worked it.
That Grand Stock you drove as a performance. We did, both of us.
Yeah.
He worked
Performance
at
motor.
he worked at Philip Morris.
Well, that's maybe.
But I mean, he was in the military. You know,
Okay.
I think he was retired from the military. So he said
His benefits had benefits.
he
you know
told
what
me
I'm saying?
he told me, he said, call him up and see what we got. I need a figure.
Yeah.
So I did, and I talked to Rick extensively on the phone one day and told him, you know, hey, I get 2 weeks off at Christmas time at work. You know, you give them a price, and I don't want you. He told me what the price was, and I said, man, that's a little cheap, you know. He said, well, I like you. I like the Hughes. They've been racing a long time. I want to help y'all out. And I said, well, I tell you what, if you're going to give us that kind of deal, I'll take my 2 weeks that I'm off at Christmas time, and I'll come up there and help you put stuff together, whatever I can do to help, because I don't want you to lose the labor you would lose, you know.
By giving us a discount.
Right.
Yeah.
So I went up there a few times and helped out with it. I think Ryan Burroughs was building the cars up there at the time, and he had pretty much all of it done. But I think I went up there and put the front clip together, put the rear clip together, or something, spindles and stuff like that. But he
How old
actually,
were you at this time?
Oh,
I'm going back to you, asking you years. Now, how old were you? What year was it?
There's an age-old question that you're a vampire.
uh,
There's YouTube videos you looking the same right now as you did like 48 years ago.
really?
Yeah.
We don't even know if you're 48 years old
dude,
yet.
He's
but
been racing for 175 years.
he looks the same the whole time.
Exact same since he was 30 years old until now.
It's catching up.
He still looks 30.
It's catching.
So-
Wow, thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
seriously,
that.
like,
Is he 23 or 53?
I literally watched a YouTube video like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was a Grand Stock back in 1998 or whenever they repaved the track. You open face helmet like Bugs Airfield.
That's right. That's
yeah,
right.
it was one of the first. It was you were driving for the Grand Stocks.
I'm not sure what. I can't remember what year we actually built that
You were
Dodge.
23 then.
2000. I want to say 2000.
3 to 6 or
It was
something like that.
hilarious.
That's
I
when
think
all the
seven.
Dodges
I
started
think
popping off.
2007.
I think you won that race though.
I think Dodson said that when they switched over to the Dodge was either 2005 2006.
And we built one I think
The
the
year
very next
after.
year. Yeah.
That's fine.
But I mean, we come out the box. We were strong.
You got to go
it.
with what you
That's
working
right.
with you. You know?
We were strong with it. We won a bunch of races, and it was like Dodson said the other night when he was here. They wanted to penalize the Dodge.
Right. Yeah.
They wanted to add weight. They kept adding weight, and I think I was over 1,500 pounds on the right side at one time. And I told Barb and June, I said, they're going to keep doing this until we don't bring it back.
Right.
It's like
You
carrying
know?
Alex with you 4 years
But
ago.
we'd add weight.
Jesus.
I didn't
Hey,
say
Chris,
that.
you know what? Fuck that guy. You know what?
I didn't say that. But
I'll kick him in the face.
Alex
man.
was like 220 a couple years ago. Now he's like
40,
now he's like
40.
170 or something.
He's like
I was
140.
240, now I'm 200.
Sorry.
Jesus.
I went a personal slight there
Anyway,
instead
Chris,
of listening to your
you're
story.
going to win a U-Car race next year.
He showed up late. I had to fry him. I told him I was going to put him in the frying pan.
Yep.
We were waiting on him to show up.
You're going to put me in the air fryer?
No, yeah, that too. That's tomorrow.
they ended up building a Dodge. We went and won some races. And
Glad you
I
remember where we
I'm
were
just
at.
going on,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you.
I was good.
Shit's on the rails here now.
That was your
But-
fault.
We
I
ended up,
know. It's my fault.
We ended up. Denny wanted to have that charity race there at Southside, and I went over there. I think I went over there 3 times the week before.
Practice.
And we changed and shocks. I changed shocks around. You know, we did all kinds of stuff that we normally probably wouldn't have done. But I told him I wanted to be as good as I could go.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
yeah,
and I wanted to
don't
be.
regret any of this.
Yeah, and we went over there, and we practiced, and the day of the race, and Denny came down to me. He said, "Man, you on new tires?" I said, "No, I had tires on it that we had practiced with the week before that had probably, 40 laps on them." I said, "No, I'm not on brand new tires." He said, "Well, I done watched everybody out here, and everybody I've watched," he said, you are the smoothest, and you're getting through the center better than anybody I've seen." And I said, "Well, I'm not running the times I need to be running, but and see, me and I had done
Compared
some work.
to everybody else you were there, probably, or I guess you were just the smoothest, so
Yeah.
and the most consistent. So he was
Yeah.
talking mostly about that because it's also a long race. Even before it was the Denny Hamlin Short Track Showdown, it was the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation race or whatever it was. It
Yeah.
was still probably 150 laps or 100 laps.
I think that's
something.
what the trophy is. I think it was
175, maybe?
175.
Yep.
I think that's what the trophy says on it, cystic fibrosis
still have that
night or
trophy?
something like that. Yes, I still have the trophy. I still have the checkered flag that he signed.
Wow. We kind of skipped over a little bit, but
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, me and Denny, we go back because when I was working at Stock Car, he brought a car to us at Rodney Estes. Rodney Estes
Yeah.
sold the car to him while I was helping Rodney Estes with that car some.
really,
In the midst of all that, him before he sold it, and Rodney run decent in it, and then Denny bought it, and they brought the car to Stock Car. I think we put a front clip on it. Butch Savakis helped him out with the front clip, and we got stuff squared away on that. And I mean, I hung a body on it for him. So I mean, I knew Denny. And matter of fact, I built a when he run in number 11 Grand Stock
mm-hmm.
down at Southampton. He had a guy in it, and he'll probably, I don't know if he'll
I didn't know
remember
about
this
this.
or not, but he had a guy that worked for him named Ernie.
Yeah.
Was his, I think his name, I don't know if he was a crew chief or what. I think he might have just worked on a car. He might have been a crew chief. I don't know, with that Grand Stock. But he come up to me at Stock Car. He said, "Man, I need to build a air cleaner bottom for this Rochester 2-barrel. That's what they were running back then." I said, "Okay." I said, "What do you want to do?" He said, "I want a good one."
What does that mean?
The more you can get that air,
Oh yeah,
just
I
to-
know what it
just to
means.
roll
but
in there.
How are you going to do it?
I think I had 35 hours tied up in an air cleaner bottom,
Oh my god,
and
gosh,
it was at least 30. And he took it down to AED. He took his old air breather. They put it on the flow bench, and they put the new bottom on it, and it picked it up on the flow bench at 11 CFM, and which was 2 jet sizes.
this is
They had to go
legal.
up. They never took it away
we don't
from
talk
him.
about that.
They
Just kidding. Sorry.
they had to put, they went up 2
Trick
jet
question.
sizes in the carburetor.
Trick question.
You know,
Amateur.
and he
Turn on
come
my
in there-
podcast, dude. You can't take a question like that and answer it. You know.
Ethan's 2012 carburetor.
Gary
This is
Fox sponsors this podcast.
That's the only
He
one.
gave up on you, Ethan, dude.
That's the only one I made. and the only one I probably will ever make a gimmick.
Well, the next question, Chris, after
He
that
passed.
last story, have you, I guess, driven and crew chiefed every car that's ever existed in Chesterfield, it seems like? I mean,
Ooh, that's a
it's
big
it's getting
question.
insane
That's a
here.
big
You've,
question,
like,
Chris.
literally, you've crew chiefed and driven, like, half the cars. We just went through your numbers list of the cars you've driven. I've got 10 on here, and it's not even a third of them.
No,
Yeah,
every
84 numbers.
every story that I bring up a car, you're like, yeah, I actually built the air cleaner for that, or, like, it seems like you're...
well, that's not crew chief, and that's just helping.
I know,
you
but
when
you,
they come
you
in.
crew
But
chiefed
I-
Alex Brock at Dominion, and like I said, helped him
Yeah,
gain so
he's
much
been-
speed.
yeah.
He wasn't doing as well until
You
you
were there
kind
for
of
the
joined the
Wemo.
crew.
well, I don't know.
Yeah,
Brandon,
for the
I have to blame him.
Brandon was helping him right before I started helping. Brandon had him going in the right direction, but he was
See, I don't know Brandon,
Alex was
so
still young.
okay.
Alex was still
Alex is still young.
well. I mean, he's
I
young.
know,
he's
I know.
young, but he's got potential,
So
to
am
be
I.
good. And I think he was at the point he was still developing, And Brandon had another deal come in with Minnie Terrell.
Sure.
That he went with,
Limited his options.
and he
yeah.
called me up one day. He said, "Hey, if you want, I can talk. If you want to start helping Alex, I'll give him your number, this, that, and the other." And that's how that started. So
He's right there. You don't have to do it. I'm just kidding.
No,
You're
But-
going to drive the U car next year. Dude.
Well,
You're locked in.
But there was a car I worked on. I was crew chief on, or helped Mike Grayhouse
Oh, yeah.
in the '77 car, and
Yeah.
that's a
That
car.
was a
Legendary
Camaro-
car.
Camaro body, yeah.
That car we won. I can't remember how many races we won that year.
147.
He won the track championship, but that's a car I didn't drive that year. I just worked
Just
on
crew
it.
chiefed it.
Yeah, but eventually Harry kept telling me, "Man, you need to. I'll let you go. You do come over here. I'll let you drive my car." And I'm like, "Harry, I don't need to drive it. Just I'll help you."
Well, and I think you're right in the correction you made. You don't crew chief all these cars, but you have
just
your
work on 'em, yeah.
you have your foot in the door in all these. You help all these different racers so much, whether it's giving them advice on the track or giving them advice on setups or driving their car once and giving them feedback that way or building an airbox.
Hey,
Shout out
U car
Gearbox.
guys need new airboxes.
Yeah.
But what would I don't even know what I would call that, but either way, you know what I'm saying. You don't necessarily crew chief all these different cars, but you help a lot of
Input, yeah.
enough of the cars to where you're not just the guy saying, "Hey," 'cause everybody knows Chris Hopkins, but you're not just saying, "Hey." You're actually helping a bunch of different people, which
Right.
I don't really know where I'm going.
Well,
with
I
it. I think
didn't-
it's just cool, I guess.
I
But,
You
I
have
didn't-
input. That's important. Yeah.
and it's always valued. It's very much valued because,
Right.
like I said, anytime there'd be nobody in their right mind to not take your input because you're so diversified and so you've been doing it a long time. I mean,
I don't know.
How many championships
I get
do
in.
because you started racing when you were
I
16 or
have 3.
That's a wonderful question. Like, you
Yeah,
got a lot, right?
I started racing.
3 or 4 at Southside.
Actually, like I said, I didn't keep up with statistics, so
How
I
many
can't even
wins
tell
do
you
you
when I
have?
started.
Yeah, I know.
I have no idea.
A lot.
That's a good place to be. I
Yeah.
technically don't know how many wins I
Yeah,
have, so
that's-
it's a
Yeah.
good place
If
to be.
you
It's
go
like
back to
I
that,
don't
that's
know.
a big question, and that's pretty cool, actually.
I mean, I didn't. Going back to when my dad raced. He run at South Boston.
He did?
He
Okay.
run at Orange County.
I know about you and your brother. Yeah.
He run a car for Carl Jacobs at Southside some. So it started there.
Right.
When I
It's
grew
always
up,
about the dad starting, yeah.
I grew up
We did
around
too,
it.
yeah.
I grew up around it. I wasn't able to go to the racetrack with him because I was so young.
Right.
But every Sunday morning, I'd be the first one up. I'd be down there looking at the car on the
My dad
trailer
raced on
and
Sundays.
looking what was tore up.
Our dad raced on
How
Sundays.
bad
We
was
saw how
it?
tore up
Yeah,
it was.
yeah. I was just excited, and
That's cool.
When he ran South Boston, I was old enough to help him on the cars. He would wake me up early in the mornings on the weekends if he won't race and get up. We got work to do, And
Right.
I didn't sit around and get to watch cartoons a lot or go play
Yeah.
with my friends. I was
I'm going to do
always
that same
working.
thing to my kids. They wake me up early now,
Yeah.
so I'm going to
Well, you know,
fudge them up as soon
It
as
got
they're
to
You
a-
don't
awake.
have anything to do. We're going to work.
It got to a point where I hated it,
Yeah.
but now I
You
appreciate
learned
it.
a lot, right? Yeah.
And it helped me a lot because I can do a lot of the stuff myself.
Yeah.
And well, it's getting to where now you gotta have resources to fall back
Yeah.
on. But
There's the lessons you're
Just-
not learning at the time what the
No,
value
but
of
seriously,
them
like
are.
Chris, I've
Just-
seen you in the pit box though. Like you just You'll be taking a time trial, and you'll be like, "That was garbage," and you roll right to a pit box, and you're like, yeah, "We're gonna
Well,
change
just
the shape."
back to like
it's
Dad
cool.
making you wake up early though.
Well,
Like,
we'd work, and it was teaching me, you
I
know.
don't know if that mic.
And
Is it
I
off?
was,
No, I said don't make.
I didn't gain
Stay with
everything I have just by myself.
Right.
There was a lot of
That's-
people involved. My brother, my dad, all the wives
Brother
that
was
let
always
me.
like I loved him in the,
The
Grand
family,
Fox, yeah.
all my family that supported me coming up. I learned a lot. I mean, my dad would take me to Southside Speedway on Friday nights before I was able to drive when I was little. I remember watching Sonny Hutchins. I remember watching Tommy Ellis.
Yeah.
You know, them guys.
But did you
burnt-
work there? You're not really devoted to the track.
I worked
Last
there for
hit.
like 2 years, dude.
No, oh, you
I
good.
made y'all some fucking
You
corn
good.
dogs.
You good. They're good. But
The homemade
I mean,
things.
His were requested actually. by
My
the
dude
pits.
had so many burn
People
marks
used to
on my
walk
right
out
arm.
from the pits.
I grew up watching, you know,
That was last year. They
Wayne
had that
Patterson,
turn
Bugs Harefield, Eddie, Charlie
Yes,
Ford, David Blankenship, Phil Warren. You know, I grew up watching all them guys race. And then when my dad goes to South Boston, he's racing, and I'm working at Stock Car Products at the time.
Right.
You know, I'm just itching to get in the seat. Well, he finally gave me my opportunity. We took the car over Southside, and like I was telling you earlier, the first time I've ever sat in a late model. And I think he had some decent tires on there because he used to help Jim Thacker a lot. We had some decent tires on there, and I run right out the box, first time in one, 1450s, I think, 1450s and 60s. And I think the pole over there
Dude,
was
that's
like
fast.
in the 20s,
That's fast.
teens and 20s.
Yeah.
But, you know,
That was before the repay.
So,
I
I think it was after the
think.
repay.
right, just right after.
It
My
was
dad
quick.
gave me the
Dude.
opportunity to drive his race car
That's
one time
fast.
around in the pits, and I backed into somebody's
You did, yeah.
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 Well, I mean,
were you,
I'm an
you were,
idiot.
were you teammates of Douglas Krieger?
Who?
Or with Douglas Krieger? The
No.
Reno guy. Yeah, he drove the 2 car, but you were 01 and he was 2.
So let's
No,
specify
I
on
was
that
just
word
when
after the
I
Morgan
when I
Wallen
drove that
incident.
car, I
No,
think
Douglas-
they would
Douglas
Say that
was
one
good.
slowly.
they were just starting to get
He
into.
was right after you, I think. In
Yeah,
that.
right.
Yeah.
But I drove. He gave me the opportunity at South Boston one night. He told me, he said, "Take your stuff with you," because I think I had drove the 45 car or something. Mike Hall.
I love the number.
And he said, "Take your stuff with you. I might let you run a little bit." I said, "Okay." So he run the first race, and you know he adjusted on the car. I think he tightened it up for me. I'm not sure, but he ended up letting me run the second race. Well, I can't remember the guy's name that shows those old races from South Boston,
Oh,
but
man.
the clip I watched that was on Facebook was actually me in the car, and Jimmy Johnson was in the 91.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
That's crazy.
Yes. And I didn't
Yeah.
realize it until I watched the video, and
Was
he
it
started rolling off, and I thought it
mid-90s
was
or
my
so?
dad, you know. And my brother texted me on the phone. He said, "Oh, that's you."
Damn, hold this. I want to talk about Short Track Showdown racing against celebrities, but more
Isn't
on
that
the.
that time you got flipped?
Hold on,
out?
hold on. Patrick Brewer helped Mike Rudy win a bunch of races at Langley, or a big race at Langley.
Oh, damn.
Hollywood said that you're hell on a welder. You fixed his pontoon trailer or something.
Yeah.
So you've
Yeah,
got your
you're
you've got your
aluminum
feet really
welder?
dipped in a bunch of things.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm a welder by trade.
Okay, but somebody else said that you're
Aluminum.
responsible for. John Bray said that you're responsible for Zuskin's 17 wins at Southampton.
Oh,
You're
damn.
directly responsible for Zuskin's. Shout out to John Bray. Kinda.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yes
I
and
mean,
no.
I remember helping a lot of people at Southampton. I was running a car.
Is it,
for,
does that even, do you know what he's talking about? Chris directly responsible for Zuskin's 17 wins at Southampton. Did you give him a setup or something? Or
I know he would come. There's so many people that would come by. You know, when I was working at Stock Car, I was driving the 91 car at Southampton, and then I got out of that car. We built a house car for Stock Car Products. I was running that car then, so I'm not sure which car I was in.
Yeah.
But people would come by, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And it's sometimes it's hard to give them the right answer because, for one, I don't know what you're feeling.
yeah,
I don't know if I'm giving you the right numbers
sitting
or
there, yeah.
giving you the right information or not, but from what I have felt in the past or what I'm feeling now, if it was my car and it was doing this is what I would do. I don't know if that helped him out or not. It obviously might have, but I tried when anybody came to me and wanted some direction, I always tried to lead them in the right direction whether I was running against them or not. I was working at stock car. I couldn't afford to tell
Because it was your
people
business.
something that was gonna
Yeah.
get them out in left field.
Well, back into you've raced against, you did the, cystic fibrosis foundation race. Sorry, and then you raced a couple of the other ones, the short track showdowns. So you've raced against a bunch of like legitimate NASCAR guys while they're legitimate Cup guys, and you've raced all over the country. What is that like when you're, for one, winning a race against somebody like the likes of Denny Hamlin?
When they're kicking their ass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, in 2007 when you did that, and also, when you're just running with him all these later years, because you were doing well in pretty much most of them, it's just bad luck. Well, I know you got like flipped in one of them real big. We won't talk about that.
No,
I knew
we
not to
won't
put
talk
the
about that.
07.
We'll touch on
I
that.
didn't put the 07 on the back screen. I knew that one, you know what I'm saying? But still, tell me what it's like to even, are you in such like a
not above
racing
the wall
blackout
fan.
mode that you don't even really think about it? You're just like, oh, that's Kyle Busch on my outside, just like a spotter would think.
It's just-
you know what I mean?
That's
It's
a good
just like,
question.
me-
Yeah, that's good.
To me, if you get yourself worked up about who's there,
that's you've already lost.
You've already been beat in your head.
That's
So
a good question. I've
when
never thought
when
about that. Yeah.
when we're racing,
Yeah, it's got to be
Yeah,
crazy.
that's great.
when we're racing, it could
You're
be
like knocking doors with Kyle Busch and stuff. It could be
Seriously.
wild.
I don't think about it that way. I think
Yeah.
about it as another hard racer that wants to win just as bad as I do.
That's cool.
And I think we ended up winning the first one.
Yeah.
We had a red flag.
It counts
we almost,
to me. I don't care whether it's Denny Hamlin short track shootout label or not.
Dude.
We almost didn't win that one because they had a red flag. I'm not sure who wrecked. They were cleaning up the racetrack and they were taking so
Who
long.
got
And,
that trophy?
and I have the trophy at home.
That's all that matters.
But here's what happened.
He didn't almost get it at the tech booth.
We
He almost
went-
didn't get on the track.
Yeah.
We went for a while under a red flag and couldn't turn the car off because the alternator quit charging.
Uh-huh.
The
Cheater part or
fan
something.
the fan was slowing down. I had the car running to try to keep the car cool.
We didn't
Oh, yeah.
I
'cause
didn't
y'all
want to
have
turn it off.
electric
but
fans.
I said, okay. And I told him, I told my ref, I said, we don't get going soon, the motor's going to overheat and we're going to be done. And so just at the last minute, I think we were creeping
Stresses
up
me
on
out just thinking
230
about this.
Yeah.
on the water. And we started taking back off, had just enough power to get it to
Yeah.
the finish line to win. But the alternator had went bad,
Right.
and everything was just slowing down. And I said, man, I don't know if
gotta
we're
get
going to do this or
going.
not. So when they dropped the green flag, we went back to running. I went for all it was worth.
Is that your
whatever.
favorite win of all time?
Okay.
That was my favorite. My first win. My first win, I drove.
But that
house car.
The 2007 cystic fibrosis race wasn't your favorite win. Your favorite win was your first race.
My first late model race I'd ever won, late model stock car NASCAR sanctioned race, was at Southside Speedway. I think it was the last. I think it was the last late model stock car.
Was it last
last NASCAR sanctioned late
Oh,
model.
that's cool. Wow. That's cool.
It was. I was
I've got
driving.
the last ever
Awesome.
win at
He's got
Southside.
the last ever win at Southside.
I was driving a car for Bubba
That late
Chisholm.
model, but, yeah.
We built a house car at Stock Car Products.
That's cool.
We were running it all year at Southampton, and at the end of Southampton, I'd run 24 races. I said, "Look, I'm done.
that's
I'm
a
done for
lot.
this year." He
So
said, "Man,"
much.
and then they come up with
Why?
this. They come up with this race at Southside, and it was a big money
And
race.
you were like, I'm in.
No,
Like,
no.
I'm doing this.
Bubba called me. He said, "Hey, what are you thinking about going over Southside for that big race?" I said, "Bubba, I'm done."
Yeah.
And before I could hang the phone up, he said, "I tell you what, you go over there and win that thing, I'll give you $1,000."
Oh shit.
We've been there.
Now
I
we're
said,
talking.
"Okay."
I'll do anything to win
So
now.
me and Terry Allison had gotten together on the backstretch at Southampton, and it was from one week to the next, thrash and get the car ready. I went out there and practiced, and all 3 practices the car was just junk. I mean, I threw my hands up in the air. I told my dad, I said, "Do whatever you want to it. I'm done. I can't get it to do nothing." I mean, it'd go down the corner and just wouldn't turn. Then it was loose off, and we had tried to free it up, and nothing we were doing was making it any better. And he just happened to pull the right front wheel off because he felt a little play in the hub. So when he pulled that wheel off, he said, "Look at that brake." That brake pad. And I noticed at the same time he said something, and I said, "That's not. That don't look right." So I got right on the phone with Willwood and said, I can't remember the guy's name I dealt with at Willwood Stock Car, but I told him, I said, "Hey, I got brake pads on the front of this car at Willwood, and I said, this right front one done turned solid white. He said, if it's turned solid white, get it off the car.
Oh,
We had a bad batch of material.
Give me some Brembo.
He says, send those back.
Don't say Brembo.
He says, send those back. We'll take care of them, you know. And Willwood's always had a good product. Never had no issues. It happens, you know. But I had an
Just
old
like a
set of
bad
pads.
tire from
That's
Hoosier,
right.
it happens.
I had an old set of pads I put back on there. When we went out there to qualify, the thing was so free I couldn't drive it.
Ooh.
So I was like, man,
That's
I
a
think we
good air.
qualified 7th.
But had you been adjusting for the tightness
I had
from
been
the
adjusting for the tightness
from the
you know.
caliper locking up
That's
or whatever the
pretty
Yep. So I went back. I went back on stuff as quick
Let's
as
go
I
back
could.
to the first page where,
Yeah, I
where
went
we
back
thought
to
the brakes
stuff.
were working good.
Went back to stuff as much as I could before qualifying because they were hollering for us to get in line to qualify. And I went
They
there to
do that.
qualify, and it was just free all the way through. And come in, I said, we definitely found the problem, so we can do this, that, and other. And I was in a bad mood. It was terrible.
Dude, I've
That
been
guy,
in.
that one. Yeah,
And
he's-
ended
he's
up
like that.
we ended up
Oh,
running.
always, bro.
We ended up running and started moving forward, and was just holding my own. And next thing you know, I don't even know how it happened. We were leading at halfway.
Yeah, it's Ethan. Yeah.
So halfway, we got the halfway money,
Yeah.
and then
I was mad before
like a
then,
little
yeah.
10-minute break.
Oh, I forgot about halfway
Yeah.
money.
A little
That's crazy.
10-minute break there, and we go back out and run a second 100,
Yeah.
I think it was, or
It was
75. I'm not
200,
sure what
yeah,
it
I
was.
think it was a 175 verse, yeah. It's close.
We go out, and they dropped the green flag, and I never looked back. Shane Lockhart
Yeah,
was
he killed
second,
him. He killed
and
him.
I think Denny finished third in that race. And
Sick.
I was standing there in victory lane,
What's Shane
and
Lockhart?
Bubba's.
Counting the dollars.
I turned around to Bubba. I said, Bubba, he said, you got it.
Yeah.
And he did. He man of his word. He gave me 1,000. And when I ran Bill Meyer's car, I got to where I would run. I think I finished second or third at Southern National on Saturday night. Finished second or third at Southampton on Friday night. I mean, it was weeks that I would get $1,000. Yeah, he'd give me $1,000,
It was
and I
almost
never
a living.
asked him
It was
for
like
it.
a living,
You know,
yeah, it's-
he's like,
Yeah,
here.
kinda.
You know, I'm like, man, I don't
Like
want.
Mike and O was doing it back in the day, doing
He
it
did
on
it
Friday and
for a
Saturday nights,
business, yeah.
$500 a piece.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you that year I run
was
48
street
races with Bill Meyer. You know, I don't like cutting the grass. I can't stand cutting the grass. But I was happy just to see the lawnmower.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, I was tired. Sunday, it would take all day Sunday just to recoup from Friday and Saturday
Dude,
night,
I
especially
would
as hot
show
as
up
it
to the
was.
track. I was an enduro guy back in like the mid.
And they were like
2000s.
100 laps.
It was bad off. Like no, it was.
Well,
it was
even
still
sometimes
long. It
doesn't even have to be a
50
long race.
75ers,
Yeah.
And it was like back then, enduro's got no practice.
No.
Well, they
And
ran.
They would show up at the track, and Chris, you and the guys, the 43 car, the fucking hauler would be there at like 11 in the morning.
let me
Yeah,
tell you
Brandon.
about
and you'd
that.
be in the truck. You'd be
I was
in the
off
truck, and
on
I'm like,
I was
holy
off
crap.
on Fridays.
Oh, yeah?
I was off on
So
Fridays.
you would take it there.
So what
Chris?
I would do, I'd get over at 8 o'clock in the morning,
load it up.
and I didn't have to.
But you
But
did.
I always like
I
to
was
be. I always like to be
damn.
the first one there. I always like to be the first one in the tire
You
building.
did.
I like to get my stuff done where I can sit back and take it easy until
Time to go.
time to go.
Yeah.
And I'd have the truck and trailer over there at 8 o'clock in the morning.
That was 17 to 18 years ago for me when
Yeah.
I started racing, and that was I'm
Yeah.
Hopkins fan. That was me.
So-
Like, man.
He's older than I am. Most people don't know that.
Yeah, no, I was. It was.
Everybody thinks
well,
I'm the
no,
oldest
I
of my
take it
three
back.
brothers, and I'm the youngest by like a lot. Like,
I
no,
was
not a
15,
lot, but
16. I was making corn dogs in the turn 4.
you know how he said you
Trailer.
look the same for the past 30 years?
Yeah.
You're a
I've
vampire,
aged.
dude, seriously.
I've aged 30 years in the past
Yeah.
10.
10.
I don't, yeah, it's
Chris,
getting
you
out
did
of
the
control.
Same for
Yeah.
100 years, dude. It's
Man,
cool. But seriously, I've been a U fan forever.
Have you ever
It's
raced
awesome.
dirt?
Ooh,
no,
that's cool.
I got asked one time. I did some kart racing. I did,
That's
Lynn
cool.
O'Neill. I used to help Lynn O'Neill when I was
Okay.
in school. I didn't go to my high school prom because I was helping Lynn O'Neill.
That's
you know,
awesome.
yeah, and
Damn it, Lynn.
him and Greg Flaherty, they were
think
talking
he's
about
watching
running
right now?
Capital
He
City.
probably is. He is.
No.
They had go karts and they were talking about running Capital City Speedway, and I went up there, took a go kart up there. That's the only time I raced dirt, and quite frankly, I didn't like get hit in the face with dirt, so I stayed away from it. You know, and
You do.
I was hoping we'd talk
I've
some
always
shit
thought
about
that. I'm like, why
the
would you
California
do
podcast I help and follow. You know, they're on, and they always like
Yeah.
try to talk smack about asphalt. And like, it's like you're out in California. This is where NASCAR and racing started.
Yeah,
For the record,
seriously,
why don't
dude.
you stay in your lane?
I went to one dirt race at.
They have like one asphalt track out there in California, and NASCAR
It's
didn't
just
even go
a-
to
it's
it
just
this
a
year
mudslide.
because of their
It's not
governor
an
so
asphalt
insane.
track.
So I don't want to hear about how I don't like asphalt. I like dirt.
It's just not. It's just
Pipe
mudslide.
down, okay?
I-
Where did it really start, and where is it really at? NASCAR is what
Right.
everybody watches. Just
I went
accept it.
to Virginia Motorsports
I've never been there.
part. It was before
Right.
they changed it. It was Saluda.
VMP.
I went there a long time ago,
Yeah.
Oh,
and
no,
I
you're
sat in the
talking
stands.
You
And I got
face
out the
pelted.
stands. I got out the stand. Well, I was set up pretty high, you know. I figured I ain't gonna sit down there next to, you know. I was
Yeah.
more dirty spectating at a dirt track than I
Did you
was
work
actually
out?
working on one or
Really?
driving one at an asphalt track. And I just knew right then, hey, this is not for me, you know.
What about we usually run this through real quick. We'll try to make it quick for you. From the bottom to the top, what is your favorite local race car drivers, so to speak, like bandoleros and legends? I usually do those as one, if you know any of them. Usually young. I mean, not the legends, but the bandoleros. So if you don't follow them, I don't blame you. I don't.
I like Mike Lee's little boy in the
Yep.
Bandoleros. I mean,
Mhm.
he seemed like he's headed in the right direction. I mean, he run good. He's consistent. You know, that's what I see out of that. The
Dirt is for plowing.
the
Patrick Murphy.
the I guess the grand
Legends.
stocks, the
Legends.
legends. I don't know Lightfoot, Zach.
He used to. Now he's like a Virginia racer
Oh,
at
he is?
Dominion. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he always stuck. I always knew if he come to
Mhm.
Southside, he was going to be the one to beat. But
Tommy Jackson Jr. He's
Tommy
usually
Jackson,
always gets
yeah,
the
he's
vote.
another one.
He's 100% right now.
Yep, yep.
Mike Waltney, maybe him. Give him a shout out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Mike Gwaltney,
Sure,
my
yeah.
buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Hell yeah. Shout out to him. Yeah, Grand Stocks, I guess, would be next. Or, I guess, Grand Stock, Dominion Stock, you know, any of those. Langley. It doesn't have to be Southside Speedway, especially now that they're closed down. It's kind of a dry question. But any of those,
Well,
you know,
I
that
always,
division kind
I
of.
always liked Austin Dodge because he carried himself well, and you know he's a true champion. I mean, he
Yeah.
liked to win. He run
Plenty of
good. He didn't
championships.
rough everybody up. Try to get it done.
Not at all.
And that's one thing I never like to do. I mean, me and Dotson.
Y'all are on the
We
opposite
were-
sides
we
of the spectrum. Jesus.
Yep. He's a good friend, and he hit it nail on the head when he was here the other week. It's hard to race friends. I mean, you get to a point, you have to move somebody sometimes to win. You don't have to wreck them, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But I never felt like if my stuff was good enough, I didn't have to do that, and I tried not to do it. And till this day, you know, I'm not if I'm running second, and it's coming down to 5 to go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I got to do to try to get around you to win, but I'm not gonna knock you around and you know
Try to bully you up.
I'm not. No, it's just
yeah,
it's
I
never
just
been
meant
my
not
style.
even about the driving
It's never
styles.
been my style
I
to
just
do
meant
that
about the outside of the car styles are totally different.
because a lot of hours go into it. I got kids. I had kids growing up. I got kids. Everybody's got day jobs, and I mean they're not making it. It's not a cup scene where they're getting paid. You know.
No
So-
matter what.
I know what it takes to put one together after it's tore apart, and which you're gonna get $25 for the next spot. You know,
Yeah,
so
it's not going to be much.
it's not worth it.
Yeah,
But
I feel you.
I don't know. I like, of course, my cousin. In the modifieds.
Yeah.
I'm always pulling for him. He's always doing good, Mike Rudy.
That's your cousin?
U-car,
Yeah.
favorite U-car driver?
Sorry, I was out there.
It can't be me. No, that's the one rule is it can't be me.
I didn't know, dude. I didn't know you were.
I've complained about not
love
getting
that
any
kid.
votes, but I've also not let anybody pick me. So
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
two
yeah,
sets
yeah,
street
yeah,
there.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying, Mike, I didn't know Mike was your cousin. That's
Oh
awesome.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a huge Mike Rudy fan too.
Yep.
All right. Well, if you can't pick Alex, who's your second favorite
You
U-car
can
driver?
pick me if you.
He did. He already picked
He
you.
won't.
He
Oh,
just
I
did.
wasn't here for that. I'm sorry.
He just did. He pointed to you.
I
I
was
said,
not
"Who's your favorite
see-
U-car driver?" He pointed to us. I said, "You can't pick me," but he's still pointing to you.
Well, you're not us. I'm me.
What?
You
You're,
can pick me
we
first.
are us. Either way, who's your
I'm
second
not-
favorite?
I don't know. I don't know.
We got like Trevor Stinson, Jamie Height, Chapman, B.J. Anderson.
I like
Ayers,
Jamie Hyde. I like Stinson too. I mean, both of them.
You like green? Your
I
first
like
car was
all of
green,
them.
a
Yeah.
mint green car, riding it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, green's cool.
Not good.
I'd have to go with Jamie Hyde.
Oh God.
That was my favorite too. I mean,
Yeah.
Do you want to beat him in a
before I had to
green
race
car?
him.
That's cool.
Trying to get me there.
Jamie, if you're
he's
watching.
kinda like, yeah.
No, so
After
you're
this,
good
you'll
about
see
it.
a video of Chris Hopkins out in my front street doing a burnout in the
I
U-car
have
somehow.
no
We're
doubt
gonna
in
commit
my
him to
mind
it.
that
Alex is gonna break his arm until he makes
I'm
him
not
drive
gonna
it.
break any arms. I would love you to drive the car, seriously.
But
you want to do it?
well, I think that's all of them. You said modified late model. Did you say late model? Who's the fiercest competitor? I was going to be an add-on question. We'll maybe wrap it up with that. you've raced against the likes of Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, all these pros and pro-ams, as we'll call them, pro-amateurs. Who would you say is the toughest driver, not necessarily just to pass, not like the biggest blocker, but who's the maybe most talented driver you've ever had to face, amateur or pro?
At any track?
Sure. Just the best talent you've seen in person.
Phil Warren.
Really?
Phil,
What about newer? That's pretty older days, isn't it?
Wait, man! Don't knock him. He's still good.
When did that? I was born in '91. When did
Yeah.
you last race though? You know,
So you talking now? I would have.
Oh, it doesn't even have to be. Maybe 10 years ago, or when the short track showdowns were going down at Southside, when you're still in it, but like throughout your whole career, it doesn't even have to be now. But yeah,
All of
I want a
them,
little bit newer of a reference. Sorry. Yeah, I did.
It's
Shout
so,
out to
it's so many.
Phil Warren.
It's so many. All of them. I mean,
A lot of them are so good, but I didn't know if there was
lot
one
of
that stuck out to you.
it's
Like,
not.
let's just say, I'm sure when
Man, it's hard to say. Bugs, Eddie, Roy. I mean, it's.
would Eddie be? Do you think Eddie would come on this podcast? He's not much into that, is he?
I would think.
He would?
think he would.
Do you have the number?
No, I don't have his number.
I'm not saying give it to you live on air.
No,
I'm
no,
saying,
I
that's
know,
what
I know,
I'm
I
trying to
know,
say.
I know.
Read it right now. Everybody call him. Okay, well, we might talk about that
You know
later.
about the Hairfield?
No, Eddie Johnson. I didn't know.
Eddie Johnson?
Technically,
Probably
I
good.
have
The
admitted
Hairfield's
that he's my favorite late model driver. Up until now that you're here. Now you're my favorite. Yeah. But really,
I'm fangirling. I'm just.
I don't know. Like I said, it's just I didn't know if you had one in
It
mind.
is-
All of them I know are good, but there's got to be some that aren't as good.
Most
as
of my
others.
racing,
Can you give a top 5? Like,
most of my racing came at Southside. So for me, it was between, of course, Dotson.
Yeah.
You know, he's always going to be good.
week in, week
You
out.
know,
Yeah.
when you
I
walk
love
through the
him.
Y'all
gate,
had a very respectful.
we're gonna have
Yeah.
we're gonna have to beat
each other.
Dotson.
Yeah.
You know, and
Or each
He's
other.
had nights where he's had to beat you though.
Yeah, I'd say. Or
and,
each other.
Yeah.
and it's going to be
Yeah,
going to be that
yeah,
way. It's
dude,
going to
definitely.
flip flop. I mean, and you can't be good all the time. Something's going to go. You're going to get
Yeah.
bad tires. Something's going to happen.
Yeah, he
you
beats
know.
me a lot.
I'm not good all the time. No, I'm
He
not
does.
me.
He does.
But I had a
Justin,
lot
you
of
know.
I got a lot of respect for Dotson. He's been in as long as I have, maybe probably longer, and I mean he's paid his dues. Everybody out there has paid his dues. And getting back to the Dodge stuff, you know, when I told them, hey, we're gonna have to get like them if we want to run with them, and they did it, and we did it.
Yeah.
And then y'all got it outlawed.
I think
Like we
one
said,
of my,
there's certain
Dude,
rules
that
that
was
they call
actually
the
really
Chris
cool.
Dodson,
Yeah.
the Chris Hopkins
Yeah.
rules. They
It
call
was
what is
a
called.
Chris rule, dude.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
like,
we'll call
no,
it the Chris
Chris says y'all gotta go.
I
That's
mean,
funny. Y'all were
had-
good though.
I had a lot of fun. I mean, I know I can't take anything away from anybody at Southside because they helped me get where I'm at. There's a
Right.
lot of people involved. You know, it's not just me. Even the competitors that I raced with, I mean, even Kyle Wood and
love
and
Shout
Michael
out to Kyle
Johnson
Wood.
and all them guys are good. They got their day in the spotlight, and
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not taking anything away from anybody. I mean, they had to get over there and earn it just like I did.
Right.
So.
Steve Little has commented, or
Steve?
Steve has commented, the orange cone guy,
Orange cone.
Okay.
Bubba Wallace, twice in a row.
Oh, don't do that.
You don't have to talk about it. If anything, we normally
He hates that guy, dude.
we normally end off the
I'm
show
not
by
Wallace
eating
fan.
deathly hot sauce. I'm not going to ask you to do that unless you
Please
want
don't.
to.
No.
Okay, good. All
I'd
right, we
rather
can get
ask
this
for a
deathly hot
commitment to
story.
drive the U-car. I would rather that.
You were at, what year was this when I guess you were racing in the Denny Hamlin Short Track Showdown. You ended up upside down.
Yeah.
Whose
Bubba
car
Wallace.
was that? It was yellow and
That
orange
was,
too.
Steve Mitters is blue and yellow.
Steve Meadows or
07.
little car? There's a lot of Steves.
Steve Mitterer.
Middle
Oh,
row,
there,
yeah.
Yep.
You still friends with them?
Yeah, I
Not
talk to him
for
every
that
now
night.
and then. I mean, I hadn't talked to him in a while, but he's called me a
Since
couple
that
times.
night, right?
Well, I mean, we
Shout out
knew
to
going
for
into it.
letting him.
We knew
yeah.
going into it that
Yeah.
you was a possibility you wouldn't bring it out. You know, that's any race.
Not a good. Yeah.
And see, we won the first one. We were leading the second one. Had a
Yes.
flat tire.
Yeah.
Finished second to Kyle Busch. He got
That's
around me with
awesome.
like 15 to go. I knew I had a tire going in. I told him we were in trouble.
Should have wrecked him.
The third, no,
I'd have fucking wrecked him.
Rubber's
Y'all know it.
racing out.
I'd have wrecked the shit
Rubber
out of
is
him.
racing.
You know what? I'm not Kyle
You imagine
Busch
that
fan.
story?
I'm 100% Kyle Busch fan, and I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you imagine that story?
It
You
was
wrecked Kyle Busch in like a U-car race? Like, You know, like
Nah.
not
I
that
didn't
you
wanna
were in
be
a
on
U-car
that
race,
end.
but that's what it
But
would be for me. Like
Get to the third one.
take them out.
We didn't have a car in qualifying that was good enough on a short run.
Yeah.
But in practice, we were good on a long run. So I knew if we would just stay green. As a matter of fact, that car that I drove, Franklin Butler had won the track championship up at the old Manassas, Old Dominion, a few years ago with Herman Gant, crew chiefing. And I mean, the car was decent. It was an older chassis, but it was still good, and it turned good, accelerated good. We just didn't have the speed for qualifying that everybody else did because, for whatever reason. But it was good and solid, and I knew if we were there at the end, we would be decent. I'm not going to say we would have won it, but we would have been decent. And Scott Turlington, we were on a restart, or had just come off a restart, and Scott Turlington, I was going in the backstretch, and Scott Turlington got on the brake a little early, which I had a full steam going into 3.
It's always how racers say it. They got out a little early. I never got it a little late.
Well, I wasn't expecting him to check up when he did, and when he did, I shot to the outside to keep from running in the back of him, and when that happened, it allowed Bubba to get up underneath of me. Well, we come off turn 2, and we're side by side.
I've seen the video,
we're wheel to wheel.
Tighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, I'm up on the wall, and I'm like, oh, hell no, he didn't. And
your wheel on wheel.
I'm up on the wall.
This motherfucker.
I'm still yanking the wheel to the left to try to take him with me.
But
it just wouldn't go. And then I ended up upside down, and
you were angry as hell.
Well,
yeah,
I was.
He got in a UFC fight right after that.
I was kind of cool. I was kind of cool until Bobby Creek said, "Man, you gonna let that thing? You gonna let him do that to you?"
Bobby.
And when
Bobby,
he did that,
Bobby
man,
Instigator Creech.
Yeah,
I went over there, and
you got out of the car.
I knew it won't.
I can remember correctly. You picked up his car with him in it, and you slammed it to the ground.
No, Chris, he got out of the car.
That's exactly how it happened.
I remember that.
I got a shot at him through the window, and as a racer, you don't do that. You let him get out the car, and you do what you're gonna do. But,
but at the time.
But I'm gonna tell you what.
You got emotions running high. You're not thinking clearly.
I think that's the maddest I've ever been at a racetrack
because
it was so much.
Yeah.
I mean,
high
we had
stakes.
spent so much time on the car getting it ready for that
it's
race.
The highest stakes ever.
And now the man's car is tore up.
God.
Had you ever flipped prior to then?
No, it's first flip.
Have you ever flipped?
So highest stakes.
First flip.
Yeah, highest stakes ever. Your first ever flip. Yeah, he'd never flipped before then, guys. He just
since then you haven't either, right?
No.
Yeah, that's a
big
deal.
I was upside down.
For that.
If I caused myself to flip, I'd just start punching myself in the face.
Yeah.
I was upside down, and I don't remember who was on the radio with me. Hey, you okay? And I can remember seeing the radio dangling, next to I thought was the floorboard, but was now the roof. I said, "Yeah, I'm all right." I said, "I'm just waiting for the cars to slow down."
Better tell him to ask his spotter the same.
I waited for all the cars to slow down, and then I smelled gas.
Uh-oh.
And I said, "Man, I'm coming out." And then I couldn't get the left side of the car or the window net. I couldn't. It pushed the roof bar down, and it done something to the latch on the window net. I couldn't get out the left side, so I put one foot on the dashboard
I'll be full panic mode
to
by
push
now.
myself in the seat. Let the belts loose and ease myself down, and I crawled out the right side. But I smelled that gas. I said,
"Yeah, my wife's about to marry you
out.
just for the anxiety attack she can have with it." She's like,
But yeah, that was.
This is how I know you'll be great in a U-car, because if you can get out of that little thing.
No, you're not going to catch on fire in a U-car. I don't think that'd be really bad.
That's always
There's no
been.
gas nut though.
You better not flip an U-car.
Well, literally, you run on hopes and dreams. You're good.
Yeah.
I think that
you're going to drive.
Do you have a biggest rivalry? I mean,
Dotson
wasn't a real rivalry, but
we were always.
Friendly or foe? Do you have one?
Not really. I mean, I think if I had to go back and look at all the races I won, run.
Oh, dude, say it right now, and all my fans will go crush his page,
at
bro.
Southern National, it was Big Jim Kelly because he won so many track championships there. And when I started out with Bill Meyer, he was always in Charlie Lamb's ear. There's no need, he can't be coming down here just starting out running us like that,
killing people,
running as good as he has. He's cheating, this, that, and that. And I told Charlie Lamb, I said, look,
I'm going to kill him.
Take it apart. I'll stay here with you. You take apart whatever you want to take apart. I don't care. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I do this for a living. Am I not supposed to come down here and run decent?
Yeah.
But I tell you a little story about
rodeo.
Jim Kelly, though. He's a nice guy. We're friends. We went to Myrtle Beach when I was driving Bill Meyer's car. He was all the way parked down in turns 3 and 4. I was mid straightaway, and I seen him down there. They were thrashing. They were struggling for speed. And they were swapping motors out. Well, they had the car parked on the side of the trailer instead of behind the trailer, and they didn't have no tent set up or nothing. They were just out in the open swapping the motor out. So I had taken. There was a lot of seagulls around there, so I took a loaf of bread.
Oh no.
Oh my God!
I took a loaf of bread down there.
You're like
That's
smoking
amazing.
seagulls.
Yeah,
like
and them guys are thrashing, trying to get the motors in and out.
tossing shit at their motor.
I'm tossing bread up on that trailer,
Oh no.
and I mean hundreds
God.
of these seagulls are flying around, and you can hear them on the other side. I can't say what they were saying,
Goddamn.
but I
You
mean
can
it was
say what they were saying, but-
terrible. They said,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
the hell is all these damn birds coming
I've
from?
said it
And I'm
all
over
now,
there
brother.
You know, it was funny. I got to laugh, and I never till this day I never told him it was me
get
throwing
half
it on the trailer.
What was his name? Yeah, he knows now. Maybe.
But I mean,
God.
I built cars. Me and Brandon Butler helped me build the last car for Billy Ray Lucas. He won the track championship down there in Southern National. I raced with him. Tom Elliott.
Yeah.
They were always hard to beat. Tony Grady run down at Southern National. He was always up front at towns and stuff. He always run good. Doug Godsey.
I know that name.
He was tough to beat anywhere he went. But, I mean, there's a lot of rivals. But if I had to go say my racing at Southside, I was going to say it would have to be Dotson because we were it was just that.
If you're racing at Southside and he's not your rival, what are you really doing?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, in order to beat a man, you got to beat the man.
Yeah.
And that swap back and forth. I mean,
I'm gonna put y'all in that same category though.
You're kind of the man too, is what it's.
Yeah. I've grown up watching.
What
you.
would-
That's cool.
I guess as
That's
the
a serious
final thing, what would be the? Damn, I just lost it. Well, I guess we'll just never have it. I can't remember what it was. Not your favorite win, because we already talked about that. That was your first win, right? At Southside, we already talked about that at length. That's what it was. To close it out, do we have any plans for 2021? Any driving plans? I know that obviously Southside Speedway is shut down. Not the booger,
he's
as
gonna-
we call it,
he's
the
gonna
U
run
car.
He's going to.
Alan and I had talked about running the modified some either at Langley or Dominion. I mean, hadn't decided yet.
I
Sweet.
love that.
We had talked about it, but that's as far as it's gone. I mean, he's got business tending to, and I mean, we're not. I'd like the opportunity, but of
course.
At
it's,
Dominion.
How much does he have to pay
anywhere.
you?
He don't have to pay me anything. I just want the opportunity.
Right,
but
you don't have to pay anything.
Just going
If
full
you're gonna
circle
drive
here, you know?
Car, just look, no horsepower, all. handling
Alex said
and no
he'll
horsepower.
pay. Yeah,
If here's the open opportunity.
you'd have to pay him $1 million.
He's literally on
yeah,
one knee
maybe
right
more.
now, y'all.
No, okay,
He
you
is
want to turn us
on
the
one
whole
knee
legacy
right
here.
now.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you, Jesse. I'm on
All right,
one
well-
knee. Dude, you want to drive
Are
a
we
U-car?
serious, guys? Are we? Let's get back to seriousness.
This is seriousness. Do you want to
There,
drive a
he's
U-car?
not. No. Let's get back to the.
Why not, right?
I don't think that.
He does. Ethan just fucked me.
No, I don't think it. Either way. Shout out to. Oh yeah. Also, anybody that's watching this now, if you want to watch it later, if you are kind of a social media, you don't get on it too much, do you? So if you do ever want to watch it, or if anybody asks, it's on YouTube tomorrow or tonight, depending on, maybe tomorrow. It's also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, pretty much everywhere else you listen to podcasts. There's like all kinds of different channels now that it's uploaded to all of them. It like does it automatically.
Mhm.
Anyway, YouTube, obviously here. If anybody asks about it, episode 55. Thanks for coming out, dude. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank
Do
you.
you have anything else you want to close it out with? Do you have any sponsors you need to give a shout out to?
I mean, just from what I've
Alan
had,
Marshall, maybe. For this
Well,
next
that's
year?
what I'm saying.
man,
Alan, Chesson Automotive
Ooh,
Bam.
yeah.
and Collision. And
Y'all share that.
We
Y'all
had
share
Heritage
that.
Chevrolet on the modified.
Yes.
Yeah.
Steve Little.
Steve Little, yeah.
What's he
Y'all
doing with the
refer
late
to-
model? Does he sell it or anything like that? Or is
They
he
still,
keeping it?
I think they still have it. I'm not sure exactly which car they're running
Good.
up there at Dominion.
Fast car.
They had, I mean, it was a good car. I liked it.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're building a new one.
Yeah, you won like 4 out of 5 races, so I think you did like it.
He won 4 out of 12.
He's
I
like,
was
I just did what I
I
did.
just,
you know?
I just liked it.
12 out of
I
4.
like.
It's like I hopped out of
do it.
modified and just hopped in there, you know.
He's like, I got it, and I just.
We
had
get-
It's got to
we
be
give-
weird switching classes
We
like that,
give.
but
I give 110% every time. You know, trying to be the best I can be, especially if the people are going to take their time to come out
put
and
the
help
work
me.
into you or for you.
I've had a lot of people help me over the years. Like I said, and the list is long. I didn't do it by myself.
No.
A lot of family support. I learned a lot from the drivers: Eddie, Roy, Bugs,
Yeah.
Wayne Patterson, Phil Warren, Elton Sawyer, Roger Sawyer. I mean, I learned Sean Beluso. I mean, you go down to help my cousin at Langley and win with Sean Beluso there. I mean, you've done something. And
Especially now, yeah.
I mean, it's just I didn't do it alone. I mean, I used resources. Brandon Butler's helped me. Charleston Knight has helped me. I can call them anytime. They can answer questions if I get stumped. And 2018, 2017, I was kind of questioning myself as to what stuff was changing so much with technology, with the bump stops and this, that, and the other. I didn't know if I was going to be able to keep up with it.
Yeah.
And it was helping Alex, and we were kind of struggling until the end of the year. So I got back in something to drive just to see if it was me. You know, do I need to sharpen up on this, sharpen up on that, and then it all came back just like riding a bike.
Yeah, I think you did
You
pretty
got a lot
good.
of poles
You know?
and a win that year. Yeah.
So I went out.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, but when you started driving, you got a lot of wins.
we
did,
we,
yeah.
we were winning in the
Both of y'all
modified.
did, yeah.
We were winning in the late model with Steve, and Alex was running
As
good
is
he
he now.
could.
You won the championship in modifieds
He's
in
doing
18.
18, yes,
and
sir.
he won the U-Car championship that year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and
But-
then you and Brock the next year got a bunch of.
We were in the top 5 a lot, and he had
Y'all got a bunch of poles, and he got his first win at Dominion.
yeah
with you.
Yeah. Well, I won't there that weekend,
With you
but
set up, yeah.
I'm assuming it was the
You
same
were-
as what we had
it
the
was,
week before, but
He told us
It was good.
He told me it was.
it was good. I mean, he's a good
He said
kid.
your
He's got
truck
potential,
package and all that, yeah.
and he's hooked up with sellers,
Yeah.
and them. He'll be good. The car's
That's
gonna be
awesome,
good.
Man. That's great.
What's up, Tommy Jackson Jr. and Howard Emery? I think Tommy Jackson Jr. is scheduled to come on next week. That'll be a
that's
fun
cool.
one.
That'd be a good one. Yeah.
Not to take away from this episode, but like I said, thanks for
You
coming
good.
out, dude.
Yes,
You
sir.
know Tommy Jackson Jr. You picked him as your favorite
Yeah,
legend driver.
Yep. Yep.
I've missed all that. While
Hey,
being.
you're only the 55th person out of 55 people to do it, so he's pretty well received, legend driver. Look forward to that one for sure. I'll do a promo middle of the week or something, but he should be here next Saturday. I'm super excited about that. Thanks again for coming out. He just gave a thumbs up, so I think he's doing it. Or number one, because he is number one always.
TJ87, dude.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Thanks,
for
y'all,
having me.
again. Yeah, check it out on YouTube tomorrow or Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Awesome.
Thank you all. Peace out.
Comment, like, and subscribe.
Comment, like, and subscribe. She doesn't have a mic right now.